You either want to do it, Starmer, or you don't want to do it. You either want to give money to the British Armed Forces or you don't. And by your face, you didn't want to do this, and you're only doing it to suck up to President Trump. Prime Minister has announced plans to cut foreign aid by £6 billion. I must admit, yesterday watching the news coverage on this, I honestly had to smile because BBC and Channel 4 particularly, hand-wringing on everything. They're cutting the foreign aid budget. Oh, my goodness me, it's the end of the world. What are we going to do? Now, I take the view that, you know, this is our country, our money. It's up to us to do what we want with it. If we want to spend it in foreign aid, fine. No one asked me. No one asked me to spend money in foreign aid. They just did it. So, like me, I suppose no one's had a say on where this money goes. But Channel 4 and BBC are wringing their hands about the whole thing. There's only so much we can do. We've got people sleeping on the streets here, with people starving, with people who can't pay their heating bills. And we're complaining about everything else that's going on over the world. We cannot solve the world's problems. So why are we trying? Give us the details. Well, this is part of Sir Keir Starmer's plans to increase defence spending, 2.5% of GDP by 2027, up from the current figure of 2.3%. So we are talking about 0.2% It's nothing.
here.
It's nothing. It's no. They're trying to make out it's a huge increase. It's not. Here's what he had to say.
We will keep our manifesto commitment to spend 2.5% of our GDP on defence. But in light of the grave threats that we face, we will bring forward that target so we meet it in 2027. We will also set out a clear ambition for defence spending to rise to 3% of GDP in the next Parliament. We will fund the initial increase in defence spending by cutting our spending on overseas development, moving from 0.5% of GNI to 0.3%.
This man does my head in. He really does. It sounds as if it's the end of the world. It sounds as if he's announcing, you know, we've been invaded and you're all going to die in your beds. It's not. He's cut back on foreign aid budget and he's spending it where he should be spending it, on the British Armed Forces, OK? So you've got all the critics of the government and they're saying these are broken promises. There was a manifesto pledge. You would increase foreign aid. Didn't ask me, as I said, but there we go. Did they ask you? Is this decision just a move to woo President Trump? Yes.
Yes, it's true. President Trump thinks we should do more, and I agree with him. It chimes with my thinking on this. So this is very much my decision based on my assessment of the circumstances that we face as a country. And it is taken first and foremost to ensure that the United Kingdom and its citizens are safe and secure. That is the first duty that I have as Prime Minister.
Then why is he acting so miserable about it?
Well, he's trying to be the strong man on the world stage.
He's not trying. He's incredibly weak. He should be saying, right, this is our money, this is what we're going to do with it, and we're going to protect our people.
Well, he says...
But he's just going, oh, we've got on the world stage, and we've got to make sure everybody's OK, and we're going to have to do this. Grow a pair, for goodness sake. Deputy Editor of The Spectator, Freddy Gray, on this one. Let's hear what he has to say. Frederick, good morning.
Good morning, Eamon. Good morning, Ellie.
Well?
Well, what do I have to say? I quite agree with you, Eamon. I think it's utterly pathetic and embarrassing. Whenever a Prime Minister goes to meet a US President, there's usually this sort of embarrassing, how are we going to impress the big chief? And now in the age of Donald, or Donald Part 2, it's even more ridiculous, because this is obviously being dressed up to be a very, very significant move. 2.3 to 2.5, and we're going to bring it forward to 2027. But as someone said yesterday, the Donald doesn't do decimals. He's not going to be impressed. The British public certainly aren't impressed. And it doesn't really make a material difference to either the armed forces. Yes, the cuts to foreign aid are something, but they're something that is quite popular. And the great contrast between Donald Trump, who will, you know, to a fault, will just slap a 25% tariff and, you know, why not make it 30? We'll cut not just some foreign aid, we'll cut all of USAID's budget if we have to. The contrast between that and this sort of petty little tweaking from Starmer it's staggering, and it just makes you feel a little bit embarrassed.
You were saying that it's a popular decision, and our poll of the day, because we want to know what you think, folks. Today, we are asking, is Keir Starmer right to cut foreign aid? Let's see what the poll of the day is. Right, to boost defence. Cut foreign aid to boost defence. We'll bring the results throughout the programme, but there's what you do. Have your say on that. And forgive me, I interrupted you, Freddy. Ellie.
Freddy, interesting. You're talking about it being popular. I'm sure with many people across the country it's going to be popular, but not necessarily within the Labour Party. I mean, David Miliband, of course, the former Labour Foreign Secretary, saying that this is a blow to Britain's proud reputation as a global humanitarian. And then we had David Lammy a few weeks ago.
Let all those people die on the street, all those homeless people, and those people can't heat their houses. Where's the responsibility for that? As the Labour Party, as the Socialist Party, they should be looking after their own people first.
And then you've got David Lammy, who was critical of Trump cutting back on US foreign aid just a few weeks ago, saying that it was a strategic mistake because, of course, China invests so much all around the world, and he says you're allowing China then to creep in. So how do you think this is going to go down within Labour ranks?
Well, there is an argument, certainly on the left, the centre-left of British politics, that as Trump retreats from the world stage, that Britain has an opportunity to express its soft power more. And that aid is a useful form of soft power. I think that's highly debatable and contentious. I think Britain's soft power is diminishing all the time. I think Britain is posing on stage as a really serious hard power. We're talking about sending troops to Ukraine. We're talking about being the backstop of European security in place of where America is retreating from. And obviously that it makes sense to switch that money towards defence. But it's stupid to have this argument when we are talking about such fractions. And particularly on defence, there have been decades of neglect of spending for our armed forces. And we want to pose as a serious hard power in these situations, like Ukraine and like future conflicts.
And
but
I guess
we just can't.
I guess, Freddie, loads of questions remain as well about where this money is actually going to be spent, even though it is only 0.2% at this point in time. How are we going to make British armed forces great again? I mean, we need to start by boosting numbers, surely. Boosting numbers?
I mean, I think the real fear among people who know about this is that all the money will go on the backlog, on all the things that have needed addressing for the last 10 years. It's not going to suddenly mean we get a lovely, brand new, shiny army. Because, as I said, decades of neglect.
Do you think that Labour have made a mistake here by cancelling that fully funded plan, the Tories would say, by the last Conservative government to raise defence spending? I mean, that was on their desk when they first came into office, and Kemi Badenoch yesterday was calling out Sir Keir Starmer's dither and delay.
Well, and you actually think people voted for the Labour Party because they promised to boost foreign aid policy? No, they didn't. No, they didn't. It was just part of a big, long manifesto. And I don't think anybody really... I mean, this hypocrisy that you've got Labour MPs, Freddie, who are saying, oh, well, it's reducing our soft power and our manipulation factor and whatever. Do you care about the people you're helping, or do you care about soft power? Just tell us because if it is about soft power, that's politics, that's fine. We can deal with that. But stop pretending you actually care about the people that you're sending this foreign aid to.
Well, quite. And of the foreign aid that's being spent, a large chunk of it goes on the people involved in spending that money. So I think, our budgets, our aid budgets, while they have helped people in the world, there's no denying that, it's not exactly pure charity. And when Labour ministers start talking about soft power while talking about charity, you want to ask them, which one is it? Are we cynically using aid to increase British influence, or are we actually interested in helping people? Because we should be clear about what we're doing.
Very good point, Freddy Gray. Thank you very much. Good to see you this morning. We'll see you in the next hour.
We'll speak again, and we'll get people to comment on what you're saying today. Just to reiterate, the poll of the day, is it right to cut foreign aid to boost defence? What is your view on this? Have your say, cast your vote, and we'll let you know as the day progresses. Yeah, if you want to get involved, scan the QR code on your screen or go to gbnews.com/poll.
Lots of you agreeing with you this morning, Eamonn. Alison said, just listening, waiting for the train and listening to breakfast. Eamonn is on it again about overseas aid. Just brilliant.
Look, my point is I'm not against overseas aid. I'm a very charitable person. I'm involved in a lot of charities. I'm involved in raising money for lots of people and causes and things. But the government didn't ask me about foreign aid and what they're going to do with my money there. I would like the money they send to countries around the world to be spent in this country. That's all I'm saying. Use it for aid, but use it for your own people, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, charity starts at home and all that. Brenda says it's about time we were consulted on how our money is spent. Robert says they need to spend the remaining foreign aid on our pensioners and our farmers.
Exactly.
And somebody else says if Starmer was serious about defence, he wouldn't be giving China the Chagos Islands.
Yeah, but wasn't he hilarious yesterday? Honestly, it was as if he was announcing World War III, and his whole face and his, you either want to do it, Starmer, or you don't want to do it. You either want to give money to the British Armed Forces or you don't. And by your face, you didn't want to do this, and you're only doing it to suck up to President Trump and to make it look whatever Macron got up to this week, all touchy. I mean, the whole Macron thing, it's all...
You're very French,
all this
very
bit,
tactile.
whatever, very French. Can we see Starmer doing that tomorrow?
Well, that'll be interesting, won't it? Because he doesn't have that up his sleeve. Anyway, we'll have to see. Let us know what you think. GBNews.com/you'll say.